Members, it's the appointed time, and we have a quorum. I call the meeting to order. This is the House Committee meeting. Members in front of the chairman's bench, please stop chanting. Go back to your seats, please. You have seriously disrupted the conduct of the House Committee meeting. Please stop yelling. Please stop yelling. Please stop yelling. Please stop yelling. Please stop disturbing the conduct of the meeting. Mr. Ray Chan, Mr. Wu Chi-wai, this is your first warning. Please stop yelling. You have disrupted the conduct of the meeting. Mr. Wu Chi-wai, Mr. Ray Chan, Ms. Claudia Mo, Ms. Dr. Fernando Zhang, Ms. Helena Wong, Mr. Ted Ho. This is a warning to you all. Please return to your seats. You have disrupted the conduct of the House Committee meeting. Mr. Wu Chi-wai, Mr. Wu Chi-wai, I have already issued my first warning. Please stop yelling. Please stop yelling. This is your second warning. Mr. Wu Chi-wai, please stop speaking. Please stop yelling. It's now 2:33. The meeting started at 2:30. We only have half an hour. There are a number of items on the agenda to be dealt with. We only have 4 council meetings. There are a lot of businesses to be dealt with by the House Committee. Members who are interfering with the conduct of the meeting, please stop talking because you have seriously disrupted the meeting. Members, it's now 2:34. We only have 25 minutes left. If you continue to disrupt the meeting, I will have to invoke the rules of procedure and ask you to leave. I have already issued warnings to a number of members. Mr. Stephen Ho, what is the point of order? I ask you to invoke the rules of procedure and evict these members because they have disrupted the meeting and they are very likely to have contravened Cap 382. Under the Legislative Powers and Privileges Ordinance, Section 17C, if anyone caused disruption or participate in any disruption causing the interruption or likely interruption of the meeting, the person has committed an offense. Mr. Wu Chi-wai, I have issued 2 warnings against you. If you do not stop speaking, I'll have to ask you to leave. It's now 2:35. We only have 25 minutes left. Mr. Wu Chi-wai, please stop speaking. Mr. Jeremy Tam, Mr. Andrew Wan, please stop speaking. This is your first warning. Mr. Ben Chan, I think that you have already issued warnings to these members It is suspected that they have broken the law. Since you have already issued a warning, and if they don't heed your warning, I think you need to report it to the police. We need to continue with the meeting. We cannot stop the meeting because some members have continually disrupted the meeting. Time's precious. This is the last warning. If you do not heed my warning, I will have to exercise my power as the chairperson and ask you to leave the meeting room. Members who are standing in front of the chairman's bench, please stop speaking, return to your seat so that we can continue with the meeting. Otherwise, I will have to exercise my power as the chairperson and ask you to leave. Mr. Wu Chiwei, I have already issued 2 warnings to you. This is your last warning. Mr. Wu Chiwei, please leave the meeting room. Mr. Wu Chiwei, I have already issued 3 warnings against you. Mr. Eddie Chu, this is your first warning. Please return to your seat. Please return to your seat. Mr. Ray Chan, this is your second warning. Mr. Ray Chan, please stop speaking and return to your seat. If you do not stop talking and return to your seat, please, Mr. Ray Chan, leave the conference room. Mr. Ray Chan, please leave the conference room. Members, please do not interrupt the meeting. Mr. Ted Hui, Ms. Claudia Mo, Dr. Helena Wong, Mr. Andrew Wan, Mr. Jeremy Tam, Mr. Eddie Chu, I have already issued my warning. Please return to your seats immediately so that we can start the House Committee meeting. If you do not heed my warnings, I will issue a second warning. Mr. Eddie Chu, Mr. Jeremy Tam, Mr. Andrew Wan, Mr. Ted Hui, Ms. Claudia Mo, Dr. Fernando Zhang, Dr. Helena Wong, this is your second warning. Mr. Ted Hui, please stop speaking. Mr. Ted Hui, please leave the conference room. Miss Alice Mack is not talking. They are yelling and they're heckling. It is a disruption to the meeting. They have contravened Section 17C of CAP 382. Mr. Eddie Chu, I have issued 2 warnings. This is another warning. Please stop yelling. Stop disturbing the meeting. Please stop yelling. Mr. Eddie Chu, please leave the conference room. Mr. Eddie Chu, please leave the conference room. I have issued second warnings to Claudia Mo, Helena Wong, Andrew Wan, Jeremy Tam, Fernando Zhang. Please stop yelling, or I will ask you to leave the conference room. I have to continue with the meeting. We only have 20 minutes left. Miss Claudia Mo, stop yelling. Miss Claudia Mo, if you do not stop, Miss Mo, please return to the seat. Otherwise, you will have to leave the conference room. Miss Claudia Mo. Mr. Jeremy Tam, please return to your seat and stop yelling. I've already given you 2 warnings. If you do not heed my warnings, I have to ask you to leave the conference room. Mr. Jeremy Tam, please leave the conference room. Mr. Alvin Yeung, please return to your seat and stop yelling. This is your first warning. Mr. Alvin Yeung, this is your second warning. Mr. Andrew Wan, please return to your seat immediately. Stop disturbing the meeting. If you do not heed my warning, please leave the conference room. Mr. Wan, please leave the conference room. Dr. Fernando Zhang, please return to your seat immediately. I have to start the meeting. Dr. Fernando Zhang, if you do not do so, please leave the conference room. Dr. Fernando Zhang, please leave the conference room. Dr. Helena Wong, please return to your seat. Please stop yelling. If you do not listen to my directions, please leave the conference room. Mr. Alvin Yeung, please stop yelling. This is your second warning. Mr. Alvin Yeung, please return to your seat immediately. Stop interrupting the meeting. Do not yell. Please stop yelling. Mr. Ben Chan, what is the point of order? Mr. Alvin Yeung is a lawyer. He knows full well that he is breaking the law. Please warn Mr. Yeung again. He is breaking the law if he doesn't shut up. Chairperson, you will have to issue a final reminder, and then you have to initiate prosecution. Mr. Alvin Yeung, please stop yelling. Return to your seat. Mr. Alvin Yeung, please leave the conference room. Members, it's the appointed time and we have a quorum. This is the House Committee. As our meeting was interrupted, we have to make good use of time. Mr. Roy Kwong, this is your first warning. Please return to your seat. You are disturbing the meeting. Mr. Roy Kwong, please return to your seat. Mr. Roy Kwong. Mr. Roy Kwong, you are interrupting the meeting. This is gross misconduct. Please leave the conference room. We have to try to catch up. There are a number of items on the agenda. Item number 1, confirmation of minutes of meeting. Ms. Elizabeth Quat. It's a point of order. There are some placards there that are irrelevant to this meeting. Please ask the guards to take them away. Security guards, please take away the slogans that are irrelevant to this meeting because I don't see any members here. Item number 1, confirmation of minutes of meeting. Minutes of the third meeting held on the 5th of June 2020. So far, members have not proposed any amendments to this minute. I ask members to confirm it. It's confirmed. Item number 2, matters arising. Report by the chairman on her meeting with the chief secretary for the administration.
This is the first time we met with the CS, and the CS said that he's glad that the House Committee is back up and running again. He hopes that within this legislative year we will be able to complete the scrutiny of all the bills and resolutions. There are a number of members. Please make it brief. Mr. Ben Chen. Madam Chair, in your meeting with the CS, I hope that you would relate the point that with regard to the health code, the test cost is exorbitantly expensive. I hope that the government would do something about it. Perhaps the administration might wish to offer some subsidy to the students for the health code. Mr. Stephen Ho, Madam Chair, the administration probably hasn't covered the entire sectors. There are 27 sectors that are covered to the business sector. The government seems to be skewing in favor of them. There are some seafarers who are living on the mainland, and they have been living rough at the pier because they can't afford the accommodation, and they need to travel back and forth between the two places. I hope that you would relate to the CS regarding these miserable cases. The HAB should look after them. Now, for the fishing vessels, they have to be tested in the mainland, and they have to come back to Hong Kong, and they have to go back to the mainland to get the capture fisheries certificate. I hope that there would be a brief consultation and get this through as soon as possible. I heard what you said about the health code. Mr. Holden Chow, also on the health code, the charges are different, $200-300 in the mainland. About it is well over $1,000 in Hong Kong. I think there ought to be some subsidy for the issuance of health code for people to travel back and forth. Ms. Alice Mack, also on the health code, other than the fact that it is expensive and there are not enough centers, there are many cross-boundary families who cannot stand to benefit or apply for the health code. The CS should really be concerned about these cross-boundary families. And also, the government spends billions and billions on bailing out the Cathay Pacific. Why can't the practitioners in different sectors be assisted? There ought to be cash subsidies for those who are working at the airport. There should be subsidy for those who are working as green minibus drivers. I hope that the third anti-epidemic assistance can be offered. Mr. Gary Chen, the sailor spent a month living rough at the pier. He's now in hospital. Now, there are some elderly people in the Guangdong scheme who cannot travel to the mainland. If they travel to the mainland, they have to pay $340. And I mean, the subsidy is meant for them to live out their life in the mainland. So I hope that there would be some human consideration in the health code. Now, we're not sure whether it is 500 or 1,000 per day, or whether it is 1,500 for the entire scheme. I don't think we should be biased in favor of one particular sector. We have to make it broader. Dr. Elizabeth Quat. Yes, Madam Chair, on the health code, there are indeed many Hong Kong people who are living in the mainland, particularly in Guangdong, but they are working in Hong Kong. If the health code doesn't cover them, if they are not giving any subsidies, it would be impossible for them to hold down a job, and that would be detrimental to their life. And they may be separated from their spouses, and some of them are living rough on the street. And this is a dire problem. I hope the government would consider the needs of Hong Kong people. I draw a line there after Michael Look. I know that you feel very strongly about the health code. I would relay the message to the CS. Mr. Michael Look, you have to let the CS know that the workers are very concerned about the health code. They pin very high hope on this, but they are very, very critical. It is so restrictive, it is so expensive, and they have to be out of pocket, and they have to do it 4 times, and they spend $6,000 a month for the test. In the mainland of China, it is less than $100 because of the subsidy. Our economic strength is no worse than that in the mainland. Why can't the government do something to look after these people who are traveling back and forth? Not just on the business sector, there are so many workers who have to travel back and forth between the two places. They should not just look after those who are in business. All right, indeed, the health code is something dear to the heart of many people. Me and the Vice Chair will relate this to the CS. Item 3, the bills are referred to the House in accordance with Rule 54.4, Number 1, Limited Partnership Fund Bill. Legal advisor, brief introduction, please. Madam Chair, thank you. Please refer to LS 97/19 to 20, and this is a brand new bill. The purpose of the bill is to provide for registration fund as limited partnership funds, or LPS, to operate in Hong Kong. This also authorizes the company registrar to exercise its power. Now, these will go into effect on the 31st of August. On the 2nd of December 2019, the FAP was consulted, and members also discussed a number of issues like the implementation details and the protection for the investors and so on. This is a copious bill with 120 clauses. The Legal Service Division is scrutinizing the drafting aspects, and it's up to members to decide whether the Bills Committee should be formed, and we will make further reports. Bills Committee, Mr. Holden Chow proposes any members wishing to join. Dr. N. Cheung, please circulate further invitation. I've asked the chairman of the Finance Committee to bear with us for 15 minutes for us to get through the agenda. All right? Agree. You just save an hour for me. Number 2, Insurance Amendment Bill 2020. Legal advisor, brief introduction, please. Please refer to paper LS 94/19 to 20. The bill seeks to amend the insurance ordinance to provide for the regulation of a new class of insurance business and regarding insurance-linked securities, and also expand the scope of insurable risks of captive insurers. On the 3rd of June, the FAP was consulted. Members supported the introduction of the bill, although they have raised a number of areas of concerns, like how we can prevent these high-risk investment products, insurance-linked securities, and how they can be repackaged to the retail investors. The Legal Service Division is scrutinizing the details, and we will make a report if necessary. Bills Committee, Mr. Holden Chow so proposes. Any member wishing to join, please circulate further papers. Number 3, Insurance Amendment Number 2, Bill 2020. Legal advisor, please. Madam Chair, this is paper LS 96/19 to 20. The bill mainly proposes to amend the ordinance to provide for the regulation and supervision of insurance groups. The insurance authority will be exercising direct regulatory powers over the Hong Kong Incorporated holding companies. And the function of the IA will be expanded to cover the insurance corporations. On the 3rd of June, the FA panel was consulted, and members raised a number of areas regarding the regulatory system and the implementation details and so on. This is a copious bill. The Legal Service Division is scrutinizing the different aspects of the bill. It's up to members to decide whether a BC is needed, and we will make further report to members as necessary. Bills Committee? No? I'd like to ask members to give members endorsement. I'd like to deal with item 8 first, election of members of the committee, of Electoral Commission, election of members of the committee on access to electoral documents and records. I hope that there won't be any more order problem. With these out of the way, the committees can get on with their tasks. Any objection? All right, then let's move on to number 8 and number 9. Election of members of the committee, election of members of the Electoral Commission, and election of members of the Committee on Access to Legislature Documents and Records. The Secretariat has circulated members to make nomination for members to become members of the Electoral Commission as well as the Committee on Access to Legislature Documents and Records. At the end of the deadline, 8th of June, we have received the number of nominees being equal to the number of members to be elected. So there is no need for us to put the nomination to the vote. And since the numbers are equal, I declare that the relevant members are duly elected to become members of the Electoral Commission and the Commission on Access to Electoral Documents and Records. They are Abraham Sheikh, Wong Ting Kwong, Gary Chen, Chen Kim Po, Regina Ip, Paul Che, Frankie Yik, Alice Mack, Felix Chong, and Jimmy Ng. Any objection there? If not, these are so endorsed. And let's go back to the earlier items. Item 4, further business for the Council meeting of June the 17th, 2020. Laying of papers on the table of the Council. Report number 4/1920 on consideration of subsidiary legislation and other instruments. The report covers 19 items of subsidiary legislation, the period for amendment of which will expire on 17th of June 2020. No members indicated their intention to speak. Item 5, business for Council meeting of June 24th. Questions. There are 22 questions, 6 oral and 16 written. B, Government Bill, first reading and second reading. Debate to be adjourned. There is no notification. C, Government Bill, second reading, debate to resume consideration by committee in third reading. Employment Amendment Bill 2019. B, Government motion, there is no notification. C, members' motion. The Council will deal with members' motions outstanding from the earlier Council meetings.
Well, in relation to subsidiary legislation and other instruments subject to negative vetting, you have in front of you a list of these items. Well, you will have to inform the Secretariat if you want to move any amendments. Item 6, report of Bills Committee and Subcommittees. A, report of the Bills Committee on Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Amendment Bill 2019. I ask Mr. Christopher Chung to speak and make a report. Chairman, the bill seeks to amend the Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Ordinance and its subsidiary legislation to empower the MPF Authority to establish a wholly owned subsidiary to develop and operate the eMPF platform and to amend the annual registration fee payable by approved trustees of registered MPF schemes. The Bills Committee has held 2 meetings with the administration as well as the MPF Authority. Main issues covered in members' discussions include benefits of the eMPF platform, determination of the annual registration fee, how to improve the MPF system, and the resources management of the MPFA. The administration will move amendments on 2 matters. 1, the designation of the wholly owned subsidiary set up by the MPFA as a public body under the Prevention of Bribery Ordinance. And 2, the cutting-off date for the annual registration fee is changed from the 1st of January 2020 to the 1st of October 2020. The Bills Committee raises no objections to them. The Bills Committee will not move any amendments nor will it object to the resumption of second debate of the bill in this legislative year. The administration will notify the date of the resumption shortly. Please note the deliberations of the Bills Committee, which are set out in the written report.
唔該，張華峰議員。
Thank you, Mr. Zhang. B. Bills Committee on Pharmacy and Poisons Amendment Bill 2019. I'd like to invite Ms. Alice Mack, Chairman of the BC. Madam Chair, the Pharmacy and Poisons Amendment Bill 2019 seeks to amend the Pharmacy and Poisons Ordinance and the Pharmacy and Poisons Regulations to regulate the manufacture, supply, and labeling of advanced therapy products and the keeping of records relating to the ATPs, along with other related amendments. The PC's deliberations are set out in detail in the written report. Members expressed concerns over the definitions of ATP, the keeping of records, and the publicity and manpower for the implementation of the regulatory framework for ATPs. In light of the legal advisor's comments, the administration has put forth an amendment of technical nature to which members do not have any objection. The BCE supports the resumption of second reading debate at the council meeting of July 8th. The BC will not move any CSAs.
Thank you, Ms. Alice Mack. C. Report of the Bills Committee on Road Traffic Legislation Parking Spaces Amendment Bill 2019. I ask Mr. Frankie Yik, the chairperson, to speak and make a report. Chairman, the Road Traffic Legislation Parking Spaces Amendment Bill 2019 seeks to amend the Road Traffic Ordinance Cap 374 and other specified traffic legislation to provide for the use of electronic means to pay for using parking spaces, and to provide for the installation of sensors to detect the occupancy of parking spaces, as well as related matters. The Bills Committee has held one meeting with the administration to discuss about the introduction of multiple electronic payment means, remote payment through a mobile application, cessation of refund arrangements for e-park cards, and other issues. Members noted that the new parking meters would be installed by phases over a span of around 2 years. These meters include new functions including real-time information which will greatly enhance the utilization of parking spaces. The Bills Committee noted that the administration proposed to move an amendment on the commencement date of the bill. The bill was gazetted in mid-November 2019 and introduced to the LegCo on the 27th of November 2019. The House Committee decided to set up a Bills Committee to study the bill only on the 8th of May 2020. As a result, the proposed commencement date of the 1st of May 2020 in the bill has lapsed. The administration proposed to amend the commencement date to the 1st of August 2020. The Bills Committee raised no objections to it. Chairman, the Bills Committee has completed its work and supports the resumption of second debate of the bill. The Bills Committee will not move any amendments. I ask members to note the deliberations of the committee set out in the report submitted to the House Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Yik. Will members please note that for the three bills, members we can have resumption of second reading debate on the 8th of July. If they go ahead on that day, and if members want to move amendments, the deadline for notification is 27th of June, a Saturday. Again, 27th of June, Saturday. The Subcommittee on Pleasure Grounds Amendment Regulation 2020. I'd like to invite Mr. Vincent Cheng, Chairman of the SC, to make a report. Madam Chair, thank you. The subcommittee has concluded its deliberation of the Pleasure Grounds Amendment Regulations 2020. The amendment regulations seeks to step up control of the noise nuisance arising from music activities in LCSD's public pleasure grounds. The SC raises no objection to the amendment regulation. Members' main concerns are the administration's preparatory work for the implementation, including manpower for enforcement strategy, and the mechanism for reporting irregularities. The administration indicates that the LCSD is currently making preparation for the implementation of the amendment, including staff training, guidelines for the law enforcement, the review of the current level of manpower, tasks to deal with noise problems. The SC will not move any amendments, and a written report will be submitted shortly.
議員。
Thank you, Mr. Vincent Chang. In relation to the amendment regulation, the deadline for amendment will expire on the 24th of June, the Council meeting. If there are any amendments, the deadline for giving notice is the 17th of June, which is Wednesday, 17th of June. Item 7, position on Bills Committee and Subcommittees. As at the 11th of June, Thursday, there are altogether 8 Bills Committee in action. There are also 8 subcommittees under the House Committee and 6 subcommittees under Panel on Policies. On the waiting list, there are still 2 subcommittees on policies. Any other business? There is no other business today. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.